Drive for Show, Putt for Dough by Joseph Lee, Kratom Shaw, and Alan Zong. A popular saying in golf is drive for show, putt for dough. However, in today's day and age, players are hitting the ball further than ever. Using data collected from the PGA Tour website on the Masters tournament held at Augusta National Golf Club, we wanted to find out if the statement still holds true today, or has become false over the evolution of the sport. In order to determine if the saying still holds true, we looked at three main questions. The first question is, does driving the ball further increase the distance of a one-putt? To answer this question, we would look at average distance off the tee and average one-putt distance. Our second question, does driving it further with accuracy affect putting, factors in accuracy and is not based solely on distance. This answer would be found looking at average strokes gained off the tee versus average strokes gained putting. Our last question is, does driving it further with accuracy affect the distance of a one-putt, which can be determined by comparing the average strokes gained off the tee and average one-putt distance.
In this dataset, we analyzed whether or not the average distance off the tee affects average putting distance. Average distance off the tee is how far the player ends up driving the ball from the start at the golfing tee. Average one-putt distance is how far the player putts in a one-putt, which is when the player putts the ball into the hole with one stroke. The green bars represent the average distance off the tee, while the yellow bars show the average putting distance. In order to create the chart, we first sorted the players by their average distance off the tee. Then, we looked to see if there is a correlation between the two variables. As seen in the chart, there's no correlation between the average distance off the tee and average putting distance, because as the green bars decrease in length, the yellow bars have varying lengths. This helps answer a question of, does driving it further decrease the distance of a one-putt? Because the answer is that driving it further doesn't necessarily decrease the distance of a one-putt. Next, we examine whether or not there is a correlation between average strokes gained off the tee and average strokes gained by putting. Average strokes gained off the tee shows how accurately the player is driving the ball, which shows how well the player is driving. Average strokes gained from putting is the average strokes a player gains on the field from putting, which signifies how well the player is putting. The chart compares the top 30 players with the highest strokes gained off the tee, which is in green, with the average strokes gained from putting, which is in yellow. We arrange the chart by player with the highest to lowest strokes gained off the tee. As seen from the chart, having a higher average strokes gained off the tee does not necessarily grant a higher average strokes gained from putting. For example, Brian Brehm, who is one of the higher average strokes gained off the tee, has the lowest average strokes gained from putting, while Jason Kokrak, who is one of the lower average strokes gained off the tee, has the highest average strokes gained from putting. This suggests that there is no correlation between average strokes gained off the tee and average strokes gained from putting. This answers the question, does driving it farther with accuracy affect putting? And the data suggests that the answer is that driving the ball further does not necessarily lead to a better putt. For our last dataset, we analyzed strokes gained off the tee versus average one-putt distance. Strokes gained off the tee signifies how well the player is driving the ball from the start at the tee. Again, a one-putt is a situation where the golf player takes only one putting stroke to get the ball into the hole. We represented average strokes gained off the tee with the green bars, while using the yellow bars to represent average one-putt distance above the chart. The chart is currently arranged with the player having the highest strokes gained off the tee to the player with the lowest. According to the chart, there is no relationship between the average strokes gained off the tee and average one-putt distance, because as the green bars decrease in length, the yellow bars have varying lengths, with some players having very long one-putt distances, while others having short ones. This answers the question, does driving it further with accuracy affect the distance of a one-putt? And the answer is that driving it further accurately doesn't affect one-putt distance.
After the data was collected, we checked for a correlation between driving and putting. However, as seen from the previous datasets, there's no correlation between driving it farther with or without accuracy and putting better or having shorter putts. For example, the farthest driver, Bryson DeChambeau, has one of the farthest one-putt lengths at just over 100 inches, while Matthew Wolff, who is much closer to the bottom of that list, has a much closer one-putt distance at around 80 inches. Another example would be Ryan Brehm and Jason Kokrak. Ryan Brehm, who is 7th in strokes gained off the tee, has a negative strokes gained putting, while Jason Kokrak, who's 27th in strokes gained off the tee, has one of the highest strokes gained putting. This can be for two main reasons. One reason is specialities. Different golfers all have different parts of the games that are weak and strong. For example, Bryson DeChambeau is known for driving the ball farther, while Jason Kokrak excels at putting. Bubba Watson also has excellent shot shaping abilities. All of these help them with certain parts of their games. This is one reason why there's a disconnect between driving and putting, as one person's specialty may help them drive the ball better, but their weaknesses in their iron game or putting can lead them to have longer putts or missed putts. Another reason is the gap between driving the ball and putting, and by this I mean the second shot or approach into the green. When a player tees off, unless they are playing a drivable par 4, there is a second shot, often an iron or a wedge, required to get their ball onto the green. However, if the player does not hit a good second shot, it won't matter how good the drive is if they can't capitalize off of it with that good second shot. The correlation that we thought existed was because the farther you drive the ball, the closer you are to the green, which in turn gives an easier approach. But if the second shot is not good or misses the green, the putt is insignificant, as now the putt is not for birdie but for par or worse. All in all, through the data collected, there is no correlation between longer drives, accurate or not, and putting better or having shorter putts due to two main reasons, which are specialities and the gap between driving the ball and putting. These are our sources, and thank you for watching.